So good morning, everybody. So friends of mine asked me to put together this video and kind of explain how we ended up here in Thailand. So back in 2023, my wife and I decided to plan a trip to Asia, to go to Singapore and Bali. I told her it was a place I always wanted to retire at. And she had been pretty well traveled around the world, but had never been to Asia. She'd been all over Europe and South America. So we took a trip, spent 2 weeks visiting with her best friend for 4 days in Singapore, and then we went to Bali for 8 days, rented a pool villa for about $70 a night, little 3-bedroom pool villa, and it was great. And just to back up a little bit, I spent 27 years in the U.S. Navy, so I ended up retiring with a pretty generous pension. But then I went to work for a great Fortune 500 company, and I was spending a lot of time there and doing quite well for ourselves. We had a big house in Northern Virginia, but the commute was an hour each way to and from work. I was working long hours, and we got to Bali, and I just sat there and said, why am I still doing this? I was 56 years old at the time. I'm 57 now, so it was last year when we decided to retire. And the big thing for us was we decided that we'd spent a lifetime accumulating stuff, and we really didn't need the stuff anymore. We wanted to have the experiences. So, and I apologize if you can hear the mower behind me. For some reason, they like to mow the grass here at like 6:30 in the morning. Anyways, now everybody's situation is different. You might have family, you might have kids, you might have grandkids, some reason why you can't go overseas. But for us, we didn't have any of those encumbrances really. So, we made the decision. We sold our house, we sold our cars, we either sold or gave away everything we had in the house. We did keep a small storage unit back in the United States. Kind of like as an emergency, if it didn't quite work out over here, we could go back and pretty much furnish a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment. Now, we've been over here for 9 months now, and I can pretty much assure you that we love it here, and we don't see any reason to go back to the United States. The quality of life here is too good. I will warn you that it is hot here. It's really hot. In fact, April, May are the 2 hottest months of the year here. Mid-May, you start the monsoon season, so it literally rains almost every day. So you've got to take into account that if you're a type person who can't handle the heat, you will not enjoy living in Thailand. If you need 4 seasons and snow, it's going to be problematic for you. So anyways, we sold everything we had. We packed up our house and we moved over here to Thailand. We brought our dogs with us. If you want me to make a separate video about the process for bringing dogs over to Thailand, leave a comment for me below and I'll put that in a second video. It's not an uncomplicated thing. In fact, a lot of people use agents to help them with that. And we did it all on our own. So I can kind of walk you through what we had to do. So the next thing to take into account is visas. If you are over 50, you can get a retirement visa. Well, there's several types of visas. You can do a retirement visa, you can do what's called the long-term resident visa, which is what we have, or you can do what's called the elite visa. So the elite visa, you just deposit a ton of money into a Thai bank and you just leave it there. And then they give you an elite visa, which I think is good for 10 years. And I think that amount is about $250,000. The long-term resident visa, which is what we have, there's like 4 different flavors of it. There's the what they call the wealthy retiree, which is almost like the elite visa. You have to deposit a certain amount of money into the bank. These amounts keep changing, so I'd refer you to just Google long-term resident visa and you can find out how much it is. They have one called the pensioner, which you have to prove that you have a certain amount of pension income coming in, which is what we qualified under. They have a entrepreneur one where I think if you start a company, you can get that long-term resident visa. And then the last one I think is digital nomad. But like I said, go on the website and Google it. We also didn't use an agent for this. I did all the paperwork myself. It took a couple months to get it done. And in the end, so you have a primary, which was me, and then you can have, I think they just changed the rules. You can have as many dependents as you want on it. So it used to be you could have up to 3 dependents. So they were kind of planning for a wife and 2 kids. But so my wife, her visa is attached to mine. Now, one nice thing about this visa is it's good for 10 years. It gives you fast track at the airport. So when you're traveling, you can get in and out, and you have unlimited in and out access to Thailand, which is great. That worked out really well for us. The fee for that visa ended up being, I think it was $1,600 for each of us, but it's good for 10 years. So when you amortize the cost over 10 years, it's not bad. Anyways, the other type of visa that if you're under 50, you have to just do a tourist visa. We have friends that do that, and they basically have to make a border run. I believe it's every 90 days. So they have to leave Thailand for 3 or 4 days, which isn't a big deal because they're young and they like to travel. So they'll go to Vietnam or Cambodia or Kuala Lumpur, which is super close, like less than an hour flight or about an hour flight. And they'll go spend 3 or 4 days there, and then they come back and they're good to go. Their visa resets and they can come back in. So when we sold our house, we made enough money. So we came over here with a pretty nice little nest egg. We were able to buy a car, pay cash for it. We were able to buy a Vespa, pay cash for it. We got our Thai driver's licenses. I had a motorcycle license from the state. Okay, so one really important thing to know about a motorcycle license is if you do plan to ride a motorcycle in Thailand, you should have a motorcycle driver's license. If you get pulled over, you'll get fined for not having one. And it's just a smart thing to do. But I highly recommend that you get your motorcycle license in your home country and then come here with it, because then the Thais will they'll give you a motorcycle driver's license when you get your Thai driver's license. If not, you can go to Thai motorcycle safety school here. I think it lasts 2 days long, but one thing I heard about it is that they show you like a 2-hour video of the most horrific motorcycle accidents that have happened in Thailand. And from what I hear, it's burned in your brain forever. So keep that in mind. You don't have to watch that video if you get your driver's license back wherever you're from. So cost of living here, we have a 3-bedroom, 3-bath pool villa, like, I don't know, 11, 12-foot ceilings, a beautiful house. You can see the swimming pool out behind me. And our primary bills are the rent and electricity. We pay less than $2,000, well under $2,000 for both the rent and the electricity. Our electric bill is kind of high because we keep the air conditioning running all the time because we have the dogs here and they're not really acclimated. Although I think they're better acclimated than my wife and I, but still, it's just easier to do that. I just paid the first water bill, and it was for 6 months, and it was $15. Our cell phones cost $12 a month. When you buy a new vehicle, the insurance comes included with it for the first year, but I've heard that it's not that expensive to do anyways. So eating out is relatively cheap, especially if you eat Thai food. For example, like, it's not hard to find pad Thai for, I don't know, 60, 70 baht, which is about $2.20. If you start eating Western food or you eat at hotels, you're going to start paying a little bit more. Yesterday, my wife and I attempted to go film the Movenpick for our next travel review, and she had pad Thai and paid about $7 because it was at a resort restaurant. I paid about $12 for a pizza, but I only ate half the pizza, and then I was able to eat the other half for dinner last night, so I got 2 meals out of it, so you can call it like $6. So it's not going to break you either way. When you get up to a place like Bangkok, you can spend big bucks. I mean, they have a 3 Michelin star restaurant up there that I think is $200 a person for, however many courses, and then you've got to pay for wine. So you're talking about getting up into the Western prices. if you're in a big city like Bangkok. But there's still tons of street food and things that are much cheaper. The groceries here, I think, are quite a bit cheaper. We tend to only eat out maybe twice a week, and it's mostly because we like to know what we're putting into our bodies. We've heard from some friends, really good friends that have lived here for 20 years, that they've gotten to the point in Thailand where they've started putting more sugar and there's more deep fried food. So it's just not as healthy for you as if you're cooking yourself and you know what you're putting into the food. So we tend to just go to the grocery store and buy things. Gas is about the same price. It's roughly $3 US a gallon for gas here. So not too much difference there, but yeah, I mean, consider we just pay rent and electric are two primary expenses. We came here with no credit card debt. We paid cash for our car, cash for the Vespa. So the rest of the money we have just to eat, drink, and travel. And so as a result, this is the other tip for you. I highly recommend, if you're in a country like the US, that you're able to get the premium travel credit cards if you plan on traveling a lot. I had the Amex Platinum, the Chase Sapphire Reserve, and the Capital One Venture card. And when we got over here, I think I'd accumulated about 900,000 points with all the startup bonuses and things like that. So we fly typically business class. I like to say over an 8-hour flight. My wife likes to say over a 6-hour flight. She doesn't like to turn left or turn right when we get on the airplane. She likes to turn left. But if it's a shorter flight, we just fly economy because it's not a big deal. 2 or 3 hours. It's 3 hours to Bali. I think it's 3 hours to Singapore from Bangkok. So those are pretty easy flights. But if you're in a long haul, like 15-hour flight, it'll save you being in business class. I mean, just being able to lay flat and sleep is huge. So upcoming trips we're going to the UK in 2 weeks. We're going to spend about 14 days traveling there. There's going to be lots of different hotels and scenery and things to do. We're going to the Harry Potter studio tour. We're flying business class on EVA Air and Virgin Atlantic. And so we'll have videos of those places and the associated lounges. Then in September, we're going to Koh Samui. So that'll be another trip video. Then in November, we're flying to Dubai, and we're going to be flying Etihad and Oman Air Business. So there'll be videos for that in our hotel that we stay at and some of the fun stuff we do in Dubai. Then in January, we're going to Australia. We're going to Sydney and Adelaide. We're going to go visit some really nice people that we met on our cruise in Adelaide for a few days and then spend the rest of the time in Sydney. We're flying business class in Singapore Airlines for that, so I'm excited for that trip. And then next March, we're flying back to the US to visit some friends and to actually get some stuff out of our storage unit. And we're flying Cathay Pacific business class. So that'll be a fun trip also. And there'll be some good videos that'll come out of that. So if you find this content useful, please like and subscribe. Subscribing doesn't cost anything. And giving us a thumbs up or a like really helps the algorithm. We enjoy making these videos. We have lots of free time now, so it's great. We're still learning a lot about editing. Please excuse the earlier videos. I think we're up to like 17 or 18 videos now, and they're getting progressively better. I like to think. So anyways, I appreciate you being here. Thanks for your support, and we'll see you on the flip side. Thanks.